Hey everybody, it's Joric. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Please consider subscribing. I like to talk about moving to and living in Portugal as well as Europe travel news. If you are returning, thanks so much. I greatly appreciate it. In either case, if you are interested in my content and you like what I do, please consider doing a super thanks donation. Helps me keep motivated to create content for everyone and create some unique videos as well as stuff for the general masses. Today I want to talk about family and what it's like to move overseas and live abroad without your immediate family, and some of the points to ponder as you are considering a move to Portugal or some country, just some things you need to take into account. So let's talk in general terms here. I will say that the people that I've met who, and you can imagine this is more straightforward, who have had military service in pick a country, wherever you're from. Those you're used to moving often, always have a different place. Just the time as soon as you make friends, you have a different assignment and you're shipped off someplace else. The people that we have met that are living here, as well as other countries, that are used to a military background, are used to living all over the place without their family, so they've kind of gotten used to it, as well as, let's say, their immediate parents or grandparents or kids or grandkids are used to getting Skype or Zoom calls or phone calls from abroad. I will say, living here and meeting people from probably 20 to 25 countries, we found that the type of people living abroad fall into a few buckets. And one of the buckets is military or foreign service. Maybe people worked overseas with their jobs, or maybe they worked like embassy work, or their parents did, so they're used to living all over. There are, I'll say, single and married couples without kids and not intending to have kids. So there isn't necessarily a tie or a tether to a prior country because they're looking after kids. In many cases, those people as well, their parents may be gone, so there isn't necessarily a pull to go back for care or things of that nature. And then we've also met a group of people that are single or married and have kids, but they're grown, meaning they're out of a high school setting or university setting and they're kind of starting their own lives, either single or married, maybe not quite have grandchildren yet. That's the bulk of the people that we've met. Now, we've met some families here. We've met a few that their kids are going to international schools here and it's a great experience for them. That seems more of an outlier. And then we've met a couple of people who have grandchildren or great grandchildren living somewhere, and they're living here, but they're several hours by flight or by car from them. So that's more of an outlier. It seems like more people that do not have ties, family ties to a former country, or have less family ties, seem to be more easily able to move abroad. Our situation, our son is back in the United States. He's married, so we miss him and we miss seeing him face to face, but we're able to communicate whenever we want to via text, phone, I'll say WhatsApp, as well as video through WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Zoom. So we're able to keep in contact with everyone, no different than when we were back home, albeit not face to face. It's this type of stuff. It's the video. So if you're considering, or as you're considering, a retirement destination, doesn't have to be Portugal, could be anywhere. That is something that you have to consider, is what is your family relationships? What are the dynamics? It's easy to say, well, we'll go live abroad and we can always come back if there's something that happens. But it's expensive depending on where you live. You can't always go back for milestones, birthdays and anniversaries, or if something, let's say, tragic happens. It's sometimes not as easy because there's a cost associated with that, as opposed to living in the same state or same city or province. So that's something to consider is what is your family situation? And then also looking forward, what is your future family situation? Meaning, we have met people here that have told us when we met them, we're here for a certain amount of time. As soon as we get a phone call from our son or daughter or kids saying, hey, you're going to be a grandparent or a great grandparent, we're letting our lease go or the end of the rent, or we're putting our place up for sale and we're going to be moving back, because that's going to be, we're going to have our fun here living abroad, but that's important to us and we're going to move back to wherever because we want to be there for the grandchildren or great-grandchildren. And that is something to think about. There is the opportunity for them, of course, to come visit you wherever you are, whether it be Portugal or another country. But that is something that when you have major things happen, both good and bad, right after we moved here, my dad passed away, and we're fortunate to be able to see him right before we moved, but that wasn't anticipated. He had some issues, but he was okay, and this hospital visit didn't go, something that was routine didn't go as routine as expected. So those are things that happen, so you can't be there in the moment when, hey, you get a phone call, you need to come now. Well, come now means you are there maybe 13 to 24 hours, best case scenario in our case, to be able to handle that type of an event. So those are scenarios, and I hate to say worst case scenarios, but those are things that you need to think about when you're living abroad, because we try to schedule and make a point to make sure that we're there for major milestones for our son. So we want to make sure things that are important to him that we've budgeted in our travel budget, going back to make sure that we're spending time. And even through the pandemic, we were able to get back at least twice a year to be able to spend time with him. So we're hoping that we can still continue to do that as we move forward. But it's something that you're going to want to take into consideration when you're moving abroad and settling, is what types of things are going to draw you home. So birthdays, anniversaries, someone's in a hospital situation, so there could be a death that draws you back. Those are temporary. But what I would do as you're thinking about moving abroad, I think it's important to put a list together of, here are the things that if it happened family-wise, we would be moving back to wherever. And those are, for everyone, they may be different things. For some people, there may not be any situation out there that would come up that would be considered dire or urgent enough where someone would stop what they're doing and move back to their home country or home residence within that country. But it is something that has to be talked about, because inevitably when you move abroad, almost everyone that we've met that has been here at least a year or more, something's happened family-wise. They've lost a family member, or they missed out on a major milestone that they thought they could get back for, and because of travel, pandemic, other issues, they were not able to. So those are things that we don't really talk about. We talk about what it costs to move abroad, the cost of living in another country, how to move your stuff. We talk about meeting the locals. But one of the things is, most of us are moving someplace without any family. And expats become friends, but not necessarily family. Locals can become friends, but not family. So if that's important to you, make sure that in your boxes of pros and cons for moving someplace, you're spending a fair amount of time thinking through scenarios and what ifs, so that when it comes time to move, you're comfortable moving. And then also, if something happens, how easy or how difficult is it to get back home, to be able to take care of someone or see someone or celebrate something. So I hope you take this into consideration as you're thinking about your move abroad. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your travels.